There are buildings that shape a community, and then there are buildings that shape the people who grew up inside of them. For decades, Roosevelt Elementary School stood right here in Keego Harbor, Michigan. Thousands of kids passed through its hallways. Teachers built careers here. Families built memories here. And for many of us, this is where childhood happened. But recently, Roosevelt Elementary was demolished. The building is gone now. And when a place like this disappears, it raises a question that I think about often here on History Loves Company. When places disappear, what happens to the stories that they hold? Because this wasn't just a school building to me. I went to elementary school here. And today, we're not only remembering Roosevelt Elementary, we're also introducing someone new to the History Loves Company community. Claire recently joined the team, and she shares the same passion for local history and the stories behind the places we live. When you're a kid, you don't think about history. You're not looking at the building, wondering when it was built. You're just thinking about recess, your friends, and whether or not you remembered to do your homework. But years later, you realize something. These buildings quietly hold entire chapters of our lives. And the first thing I think about when I remember Roosevelt Elementary is the teachers. People like Miss Pleasant or Miss Mint. Teachers who probably had no idea at the time how much of an impact they were having on the kids sitting in those classrooms. They weren't just teaching reading or math. They were shaping who we'd become. Then there are the little things that somehow stay with you forever. For example, this is where I learned how to cure hiccups. I remember someone showing me this trick at the drinking fountain. You'd lean down, turn your head sideways, and try to swallow the water while drinking from the fountain. Apparently, that was the cure. And as a kid, you were absolutely convinced it worked. And the funny thing is, I still use that hiccup trick today, every single time.
That actually says a lot about places like this. Because it's funny, when you talk about schools or neighborhoods, people don't usually remember the building itself first. They remember the little moments, the random things that happen there, the memories tied to a place, and those memories stick with people for decades.
But if you went to Roosevelt Elementary, you probably remember the playground. When I was here, it had just been built, brand new. And in my mind, it was the best playground to ever exist. There was the giant castle structure. You'd climb all the way to the top and then jump off like you were launching into battle. Then there were the zip lines. You'd grab on and glide all the way across the playground like you were flying. For a kid, it felt like the greatest adventure in the world. And this is where most of the real stories happened. Playing football with friends, playing basketball during recess, running around like we had unlimited energy. I remember one day playing football, wearing my autographed Detroit Red Wings jersey, signed by Doug Brown, which in hindsight was probably not the smartest thing to wear to recess, because at some point during that game, my friend John absolutely tackled me, straight into the ground, and I remember thinking two things at the exact same time. First, that was a great tackle. And second, I really hope this jersey survives.
And honestly, that's exactly why I love this kind of storytelling. Because places like this aren't just buildings. They're where people grow up, where friendships happen, where memories are made, and those memories stay with people long after the building itself is gone. Before beginning my career in real estate, I actually spent 6 years working as a bartender and server. And honestly, that experience shaped who I am more than I ever expected. Working in restaurants teaches you something really important about people. You learn how to truly listen. You meet people from all walks of life, and you realize something pretty quickly. Every person has a story. Sometimes people would tell me about where they grew up. Sometimes they would tell me about the homes they lived in, or the neighborhoods that meant something to them. Over the time, I realized that what I loved most about these conversations was the stories. For a long time, I searched for a career that didn't just feel like work, but something I genuinely loved doing every day. Real estate was always quietly somewhere in the background of my life. A lot of people close to me, including my own mother, had built careers in this industry. But it never really crossed my mind that it might be something for me. Until one day it did. And once it did, it just made sense because real estate isn't really about houses. It's about people. It's about helping someone find the place where their story continues. I've always been drawn to history behind places. My idea of a perfect day is wandering through the Henry Ford Museum, even though I've been there more than times I can count. I love learning about the stories behind buildings and communities, and discovering History Loves Company really connected those passions together for me because it reminded me that homes aren't just properties. They are chapters in someone's story.
And that right there is exactly why Claire fits so well with what we're building here. Because History Loves Company isn't just about documenting buildings. It's about the people connected to them, the schools we grew up in, the neighborhoods we remember, the places that shaped who we became. Roosevelt Elementary might be gone now, but for the people who grew up here, the stories are still very much alive. So if you went to Roosevelt Elementary, tell us in the comments. What teacher do you remember? What was your favorite playground memory? Do you ever try the hiccup trick at the drinking fountain? Because the real history of places like this lives in the people who experience them. And if you enjoyed these stories about Michigan's places, make sure you subscribe to History Loves Company. And be sure to check out Claire as well. You'll be seeing a lot more of her exploring the history of Sylvan Lake, Keego Harbor, and Detroit. Because every home, every building, and every community has a story worth telling.